Hello and welcome to Sunday School at Burgin Baptist Church. We're just going to jump right in. Got a question for you. Do you know someone who is an expert? An expert is someone who has extensive knowledge, skill, and experience in a specific field. Can you name an activity in which you would like to become an expert? Think about it. What would it be? Perhaps you would like to be an expert piano player or singer, or an expert baseball pitcher, or an expert in your career field. Have you got something in mind? Okay, now ask yourself this question. If I want to become an expert, I should learn from blank. Fill in the blank. If I want to become an expert, I should learn from who? What authority should you emulate or copy to become an expert? Now think about and answer this question. If you want to be godly, then from whom should you learn? Well, Jesus is truly the only perfect expert, but other believers can also teach us so that we can become more like Christ. Do you think the Apostle John would have been an expert who could teach people about the ways of following Jesus? I say yes. John spent a lot of time in Jesus' company learning directly from Jesus. He was one of the 3 disciples who saw Jairus' daughter raised from the dead. He witnessed the transfiguration of Jesus. He and Peter prepared the Passover meal. He sat next to Jesus at the Last Supper. He walked with Jesus in the Garden of Gethsemane. And when Jesus was dying on the cross, Jesus asked John to care for his mother. John went with Peter to the tomb, and it was John who recognized Jesus at the side of the lake. John was definitely an eyewitness with first-hand experiences and knowledge about Jesus. Today we're going to focus on the books of 2 John and 3 John, which are actually letters that John wrote to believers. Before we begin, I want to explain a few things about John's second letter that may seem a little strange. In the letter, he addresses the church as a lady. He refers to the members of the church as children, and he refers to the church he's writing from as their sister. We hear similar references even today when we talk about sister churches, etc. So 2nd and 3rd John are very short letters that probably could have been written on a single piece of papyrus back in those days. Within these short letters, John offered some expert guidance to help the readers then and us now walk in the truth. We are called to walk in the truth of Jesus. So what is the truth? Jesus himself said, "I am the way and the truth and the life. No one comes to the Father except through me." Jesus also said, "If you hold to my teaching, you are really my disciples. Then you will know the truth, and the truth will set you free." So what expert guidance does John give believers to help us follow Christ and walk in the truth? 2 pieces of expert guidance are closely tied together in 2 John verses 5 and 6. We're going to read this, so if you want to grab your Bible, you can. 2 John, there's only one chapter. 2 John verses 5 and 6. "I am not writing you a new command, but one we have had from the beginning. I ask that we love one another, and this is love, that we walk in obedience to his commands. As you have heard from the beginning, his command is that you walk in love." Did you catch the expert guidance noted there? Number 1, walk in obedience. In other words, obey God's commands. Number 2, walk in love. Love one another. The word walk is a verb which to me indicates continuous action, not a one-time occurrence. So who remembers God's greatest and second greatest commands? They're found in Matthew 22. Jesus said these words, "You shall love the Lord your God with all your heart, with all your soul, and with all your mind. This is the first and greatest commandment. And the second is like it. You shall love your neighbor as yourself. So the expert guidance, number 1, obey God's commands. Number 2, love one another. And the third is watch out for false teachers. 2 John verse 9 says in the Easy English Bible version, remember the message which Christ taught. Anyone who teaches his own ideas instead of Christ's true message does not belong to God. Continue to believe what Christ taught. Anyone who does that belongs to God the Father and to his Son Jesus. So recap, expert guidance to help Christians walk in the truth include, number 1, obey God's commands. Number 2, love one another. Number 3, watch out for false teachers. And lastly, but not leastly, number 4, work together. Christians are to work together to share the truth about Jesus. 3 John is a letter John wrote to a friend praising him for helping other Christians share the truth. 3 John verses 5 and 8 in the Good News Bible translation says this, my dear friend, you are so faithful in the work you do for your fellow Christians, even when they are strangers. They have spoken to the church here about your love. Please help them to continue their journey in a way that pleases God, for they set out on their journey in the service of Christ without accepting any help from unbelievers. We Christians, then, must help these people so that we may share in their work for the truth. The NIV version says we ought therefore to show hospitality to such people so that we may work together for the truth. The NLT version says we should support them to be their partners as they teach the truth. The Holman Christian Standard Bible says co-workers with the truth. New King James Version says fellow workers. King James Version says fellow helpers. Well, you get the idea. We are to assist Christians who are sharing the true message about Christ with others. So to walk in the truth, followers of Christ are to obey his commands, love one another, watch out for false teachers, and work together to share the gospel of truth. There are many, many more nuggets of expert guidance found in John's letters, but I think we can sum it all up like this. To walk in the truth, do what is pleasing to God. Are you walking in the truth? Maybe you feel like you have wandered away and it's time for you to come back. God's waiting for you. Maybe you've never chosen to follow Jesus. Today's your chance. Are you walking in the truth? Do you want to walk in the truth? God's waiting to hear from you. So I hope you take these words to heart, and I hope you want to become an expert in following God. I love you, and goodbye for now.